welcome to the latest episode of On the Beaten Track. Joining me on Bantons Lake up at the Wyreside complex for this session. It's been quite a while since I did a diary piece here, first of all I think I need to apologise for the lack of diary pieces there's been this year. Just been absolutely manic with work and I just haven't been getting out as much as I would have liked really. I've been out I think twice in the last 8 or 9 weeks, but both of those sessions ended in blanks unfortunately. My last session was on Blakemere a few weeks ago, and then about 8 weeks ago down here on Bantons, and actually lost the fish on me last morning as I was packing up, so got a little bit of a score to settle this session. So I arrived a few hours ago, got the rods out on 3 different spots. I'll show you where I'm fishing in the morning. I'm just coming into the evening now and the sun's just dipping away, so I'll run you through everything I'm doing tomorrow. But yeah, so I've set up in a swim called Dry Peg and did a good couple of laps of the lake earlier on. Didn't see anything to go off at all really. The lake was flat calm, couldn't really see any sort of signs of carp. I thought I might have seen a couple just below the surface down this end of the lake earlier on, so that's why I've chosen this swim. And if the weatherman gets it right, we're meant to get some rain and it's meant to go really overcast tomorrow. And although I don't really know an awful lot about the lake, to be honest, I know this end of the lake is the deeper end, so I'm hoping if the weather forecast is right, I might just push the fish down this end, so remains to be seen anyway. But like always, I'll just keep you updated throughout the session and let you know how we get on. Good morning. It was a really quiet night last night. Nothing happened at all. I did a sort of 1 or 2 fish roll, which sounded like they're in the sort of vicinity where I was fishing, but bobbins remain motionless unfortunately. Conditions are looking a lot better today, so it was really warm. It was probably about 21, 22 degrees when I arrived yesterday. But the weatherman was right. We got a lot of rain last night, probably from about 3 o'clock in the morning right the way up until about 8 o'clock. It was raining pretty heavily. Pressure's dropped a little bit, temperatures have dropped, so it's actually looking really good for a bite now. I'm just sort of deciding what to do. So I haven't really seen much in front of me at all, but probably about half an hour ago there's a decent common stuck its head out in a little bay a couple of swims down to me right. So I don't really want to reel in just yet. It's looking really good for a bite, but I do want to go and have a little look down there, investigate that a little bit later on. So I think I'm just going to have my breakfast, see if anything happens in the meantime, and if not, I'll reel the rods in and go and have a little walk around and see if I can see any signs of fish down there, because that's really the only actual sign of fish that I've seen. So yeah, but say hopefully conditions will stay like this and we might be able to put one on the bank, but as I say, I'll keep you updated and let you know how we get on. Right, so as you can probably tell, I decided to make the move this morning. Shortly after filming that last section for the diary, there's another 2 fish showed just down to me right in front of a swim called Rowlands. So I couldn't ignore that. I hadn't really seen any sort of signs of fish in front of me. I thought I might have heard 1 or 2 crashing during the night, but couldn't really be sure. So after seeing that common this morning and then another 2, I had to move. So I quickly finished my breakfast, got round into the swim and got the rods out. And there's been quite a few fish in front of me today. I've had a little play around with the marker before where I'd originally seen the 2 fish show, and there's sort of 2 big weed beds and there's a sort of clear spot in the middle. So I put 2 rods on that, and then I put 1 down into the bay where I'd seen the common crash in the morning, because this swim still gives me access to the entrance to that bay. That rod hasn't done anything. I think I'm going to move it out more into open water, because where I've got me left and middle rod on that weed bed, just on the other side of it, there seems to be a lot of fish as well. So I think I'm going to move that rod over for tonight. So I don't think I've really had any fish in front of me last night. I thought with the drop in temperature and the rain coming in that the fish would end up down in front of Dry Peg, which I believe has some deeper water in front. But as I said, I still don't know very much about the lake at all really. I'm still very much trying to get to grips with it and work out its moods and where the fish end up under what conditions. So So it's all one big learning curve anyway, but I'm happy now. So there's quite a few fish in front of me. There's been a fair few sort of cruising around just below the surface. So the weather's been sort of up and down all day really. It seems 1 minute looks like it's going to start raining and then the sun's come out. So just hoping we get a bit of steady weather now. I think we're meant to get some more rain this evening and then through to the morning. So hopefully might convince them to get the heads down tonight. We might be able to bag one. So I'm going to recast the rod shortly and get some more bait out and then just see what happens this evening. Well, it's not huge, but just goes to show that making the effort to move has paid off. Found another spot, just a 15.5 wrap, so repositioned my left and right rod slightly, just because I'd seen more fish sort of showing slightly further out. So repositioned this one, and I was still putting some of the Pacific tuna out with the throwing stick when it went off, so it had literally been in the water no more than about 10 minutes. So just goes to show, you can spend all night in the wrong place, and 5 minutes in the right place is all it needs. Lovely, lovely dark fish as they all are in here. Just quickly flip them around. Just absolutely jet black across his back. He's almost purple, he's that dark. Made up with this one, so it's looking bob on again now. Got a little bit of rain, about half an hour ago, timed to perfectly getting the rods out tonight. Got it absolutely soaked getting them out, but it's all been worth it in the end. So let's hopefully we can get some more. Let's get this one back. It's all going off now. I was literally just recasting that rod. I've just had the last fish on. My right hand, the fish on a different spot, just ripped off. As you can see, I'm absolutely drenched. Basically, just as I connected with this fish, the heavens absolutely opened. I'm in a shorts and t-shirt. It's had me in and out of every single weed bed. And as you can probably see, I look like a drowned rat. But I'm absolutely over the moon with this one. This one's gone 24-2. Another stunning dark fish. I'm going to get this one back and try and get myself dry. I think I'm going to have to reel in and go back to the car. Morning. So there's nothing to report last night, basically because I decided not to recast the rods after I had that fish last night. So timing couldn't have been any more typical. I was just recasting the rod, I just had the fish on. My right hand had tore off. The second I lifted into it, the heavens opened and I was stood there in my shorts and t-shirt. Got absolutely wet through. I ended up going having to sit in the car for 20 minutes, stripped down to nothing but my boxes, using the blowers as a hairdryer to try and dry out. So I'm just glad there was no one walking past at that point. But the rain was just relentless. I said it didn't stop till probably about 2 or 3 o'clock this morning, so I didn't want to risk another soaking, so I just topped the areas up with about another 2 kilo of the Pacific tuna, just to hold the fish in the area and give them a bit of free food during the night, with a view to getting the rods back out first thing this morning. I overslept a little bit, to be honest. I must have been tired. Didn't wake up till about 6 o'clock, so I missed first light when I was planning on getting the rods back out, but all 3 are back out on the spots now. My left and middle are on a little gravel bar, just 15.5 wrap straight out towards. I'm aiming towards a sort of round, sort of mound of trees on the horizon with those two. And then my right hander, which I repositioned out of the bay yesterday, is out 15 wraps towards a sort of little Christmas tree on the horizon. And that's what did the last fish last night. So I put a little bit more bait out this morning, just over the 2 spots just before I recast. So I'll just keep... single beep. So we'll just keep a little bit of bait trickling in throughout the day and then just see how we get on. Conditions don't look too bad at the moment. I think it's meant to stay overcast. Don't think we're meant to be getting any more rain. It's meant to be going warm again this afternoon, but I've got to be off early afternoon anyway. So hopefully I might be able to sneak another one out before I have to go, but I'll just keep you updated. But just before I recast this last rod, I thought I'd just give you a quick run through of how I've been fishing on this session, which if you've seen any of my daddy pieces before, it won't really be anything new to you, because I don't tend to change my approach an awful lot unless the situation dictates that I need to. So semi-stiff hinge is always my go-to approach of fishing over spreads of buoys like I am today. Obviously Bantons is really weedy, so you need to be dropping the lead. So with that in mind, I fish one of the Carp quick release lead clip systems. Now you'll notice on the barrel there's no serration at all, so that lead is going to drop as soon as you connect with the fish, because the last thing you want is to be playing a fish through weed with a big heavy lead hanging about, so it's just going to get caught up and make it really difficult to get the fish in the net. It's completely the ban on the whole of Wyreside, so I'm fishing tungsten tubing, which just pins everything down nicely. And then obviously hook bait wise, I'm fishing over spreads of the Pacific tuna, so I always like to match what I'm putting out there. So a tuna cork will pop up that's been soaked in the liquid tuna extract. So it's worked for me on this session and every session really. Like I say, I don't tend to change my approach unless I have to, and although it is very weedy, the spots that I'm fishing are quite gravelly and clear, so I know that presentation is going to be presented nicely. And just one last thing to note is I always critically balance my hook baits. You want that hook bait to be flying into the fish's mouth as quickly as possible really, and then before they know it, they're nailed. Right, so that's it for another session now. It's just the rods to come in and I'm going to head off home. It's been a brilliant session, so absolutely over the moon to have them two fish, and it's been thoroughly enjoyable despite taking a soaking, but that's all part of the fun, isn't it? So I thought I might have been in with another chance this morning when it was still nice and overcast and drizzly. There was a fair few fish showing over the two baited areas, but these last few hours the sun's come out, the temperature's gone up, and it just seems to have switched them off. I haven't seen anything show since the sun's come out really. So I'm just going to whip the rods in and head off. So I hope you've enjoyed this diary piece. I'm planning a fair few sessions throughout the autumn, sort of late September time onwards, because I sort of missed the whole of autumn last year and it's one of my favourite times to be on the bank. So fingers crossed we'll have a fair few more diary pieces to come by the end of the year. So I'll catch up with you next time I'm out in tight lines.